Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Push to Pass F1 podcast. Now, this weekend there is no Grand Prix, so me and Reef have decided we're going to do our own silly season before silly season even is a thing. So we're going to call it the silly season. What we're going to do is look at some of the drivers whose contracts are up at the end of 2025, potentially look at where they could go and what we think is going to happen with their contracts, and if they are going to leave, some potential replacements. So just to give you a brief rundown of contracts who expire at 2025. We have Liam Lawson, George Russell, Kimi Antonelli, Jack Doohan, Isaac Hadjar, and Yuki Tsunoda. But there's also talks about Max Verstappen having some interesting decisions to make next year. So let's start with him, shall we?
Yeah, go on then.
Where is it? Andrew Benson, who is the chief writer for the BBC, reported that during the Saudi Grand Prix weekend that he could potentially take a sabbatical for 2026, which would then see him address his options for 2027. Do we think that could happen? Do we think we could see a world with no Max Verstappen next year?
I wouldn't bank on it, but I could also see it. He's the type of guy where if he said, right, I'm off, I wouldn't be surprised.
I
He's
think,
just that sort of character.
yeah, and I think also the intriguing thing with 2026 is obviously we're going to have new regulations next year. So if he did take a year off, it would let him assess his options and potentially let him to come back into 2027 in a title winning car.
Yeah, I don't know. I value his loyalty to Red Bull. I think it's far stronger than people let on. People always float around the Aston Martin move or the Mercedes move, but I do really think his heart is at Red Bull.
Have you seen the Aston Martin thing? So during the weekend, they were like, obviously, I think it was the Friday where it kicked off a bit, where people were like, oh, Max could actually go to Aston Martin, and the Aston Martin team principal came out and was like, why do we need Max Verstappen? We've got a great driver lineup of Fernando Alonso and Lance Stroll. I was like, if you get the option to sign Max Verstappen, I think Lawrence would even go, Lance, I think you can leave.
Mate, he'd decapitate him to get Max
Like,
Verstappen.
surely you at that point you can put that aside of going, I do like my son being an F1, but I could have one of the greatest drivers of all time.
That's nonsense.
But
But obviously, a
I
complete
think,
PR answer from him.
I 100%. But I think one of the other factors which is big for this is obviously Max is going to become a dad. I want to say the middle of this season, towards the end of this season. So maybe he takes next year off to focus on family, because Max has been quite open before, where he isn't interested in staying around in F1. The likes of how long Kimi did, how long Fernando has. He just doesn't seem interested in it. He just wants to do it while he's young, and then just spend time with his kids and spend time with family.
Yeah, and I could see that genuinely. I could, and but then it's all about who would go into the Red Bull.
Yeah, so let's talk about someone else who has apparently been flirting with Red Bull is Mr. George Russell. So the race reported just today that apparently George Russell has held talks with Red Bull, with George and Christian Horner have had some informal chats over recent weeks. Now, George's contract expires at the end of 2025, so what if that is true and George has been speaking to Christian Horner and Red Bull? I think that's more Red Bull covering their own back just in case Max does decide to take that year off. So they're not left in a
It's
situation where they're having to put Yuki as a number one and they're having like Hajar in as the number two.
potentially, but I would also see it as potentially them looking to go the McLaren route with two number ones.
Yeah,
Things might not work out with Yuki. I mean, I think he's doing all right so far, but Red Bull might just get sick and tired of having such a weak second driver, and they want someone new in who can be competitive. I don't know about that. It's all a bit. It's too rumoury, really, to make proper comment. But that's what the
yeah.
silly season's for. So
Um,
I don't
obviously,
know. It'd be cool to see Russell in a Red Bull.
oh yeah, 100%, and I think it'd be, I think it'd almost suit him a bit. But there has been talks also recently that Mercedes are sort of ready to offer George a new contract. I think they're just sort of in the process of coming up with it and just giving what to offer him and how long of a deal, because George has really stepped up this year, and George has probably been one of, if not the best driver this season.
Yeah, he definitely deserves a new contract. I don't think it's a case of Mercedes leaving him out to dry. It would be more his head gets turned by someone else.
Oh yeah, hundred
But
percent.
I can't see him leaving Mercedes at the moment. If you'd asked me at the start of the season, I'd have probably said otherwise. But
Yeah.
his form now and where I think that car can go, I'd say that he'd probably stay.
So the other driver out of contract is his teammate Kimi Antonelli. I think that's he's gonna stay.
Oh,
There's
yeah,
there
definitely.
there's no room or reason for for Toto or Mercedes to look elsewhere. He's not really done anything wrong so far. He's had some great drives, and he's probably been. I think he's comfortably the best rookie we've had so far.
Yeah, he's the future. He's who they're going to be banking on for 10 years to come.
He is so young.
Yeah, it's
It makes me
ridiculous.
it makes me feel such a failure in my life.
Is he 18 or is he still 17?
I think he's just let me Kimi Antonelli. He is. He's 18. He's born 25th of August 2006.
Yeah, it's grim. It's grim. But
Um,
yeah, no, there's definitely no way he leaves.
Next driver who I've got on this list is, let me just scroll up to make sure I haven't missed anyone. Liam Lawson. And while with
Interesting
it,
one.
well, to be fair, I think we can sort of group them all together. Liam Lawson, Isaac Hajar, and Yuki Tsunoda are all out of contract at the end of 2025. I think one of them goes.
You know what? I could see. Yeah, yeah, actually, yeah.
Because
Probably
bec-
one, but if
bec-
two happened, maybe. I don't
I
know.
think I think one's guaranteed to go because of a certain person in F2.
I agree, especially after last weekend.
I think they want to get Arvid Lindblad into a car as early as they can. I think they've already
Yeah.
come out and said they're going to give him loads of like FP1 testing time this year. So I think I think it'll ultimately be between. This is going to sound a bit weird. I think it's going to be between Yuki and Liam, because I think Isaac they've seen enough from, and even if he, even if they do decide to get rid of him, I think he will find himself another team. It's just, and Yuki's probably the same. If they decide to get rid of Yuki, he can probably go to, like an Aston Martin, a Haas, anything like that. But I
Yeah.
think they would ultimately look at one of those two as who to get rid of. And currently, going off form, you'd have to say Liam Lawson is the one who's at risk.
I'd say if things don't pick up and Arvid Lindblad carries on going, even though I think he's got the drive already. I think I sent it to my friend on the weekend. That win all but secured his seat in F1 next year. It's a bit like Kimi Antonelli. He
Yeah.
he had a win last year, and it was like, right, yeah, get him up. I think Liam Lawson's in big danger of being out on his ear for 2026.
Yeah, he's not showing the stuff we've seen in 2023 and 2024, is he?
I know
He's
it's so disappointing because he's been so highly anticipated, and it's just not quite materialized, or it's not materializing.
because I
I'd give
can't
him
I
the
can't even
season.
I couldn't even see him going elsewhere. You know,
No, I don't think he's shown enough.
if you look at Hajar showing promise, you could see him going, to another like midfield team or something. Yuki obviously has pedigree. He would go to another team if he was, cut off by Red Bull. I just don't get that sense from Liam. I'm sort of just seeing him as, they'll just go, yeah, reserve role. Or if they ever decide to like put him in WEC or something like that again, like he did with DTM.
He really sounds like he's just going to end up one of these that goes to Formula E to rot, which is it's a shame.
The next person is Jack Doohan. He has a contract till 2025. Whether he gets to the end of 2025 is a different
Yeah.
question.
Well, that's the rhetoric at the moment, isn't it? I mean, we've said it every week. I think, oh, this will be the week he's gone, or this will be the week he's going. I'm fed up of predicting it now, but
I'm
I
bold.
think it's almost 99% certain that he's not going to last a year.
No, I think he, especially after Jeddah, which we're filming this after, I don't think he's got much of a leg to stand on after, a race like that.
Yeah, and I can't say I blame him. It's a terrible circumstance. I mean, there's no motivation there at all. It was already kind of like rumoured that he wouldn't last five races before he'd even had one. So can you imagine every single corner he's thinking, all right, don't crash it, or
Yeah,
don't
you
give him
you've
another reason to not want you there.
he is surely overthinking going into like imagine him stepping into qualifying and being like, if I've been here, I'm gone. You
Yeah,
you you
and
must be so nervous doing everything.
it's true. And as for who's replacing him, it looks like it's going to be Colapinto.
Yeah. So
He's going to be an interesting one if and when he turns up.
I think it's more when rather than if.
It is,
I
but
think
we like Colapinto's cameo last year was great, and he showed raw pace, but he also has his faults. And going
he
off,
he he was also quite crashy smashy last year.
yeah, that's what I mean. Like going off history, Alpine aren't great at nurturing talent, so I that it'd be interesting to see where that goes.
Completely random point. I saw a thing on Twitter the other day. Imagine if Oscar Piastri did sign for Alpine. How
Oh my
different the
god.
world of F1 would be.
Well, I don't know. Would Alpine look different, or would Piastri look different?
I think Piastri would look different because Alpine are just.
Yeah, yeah, they're not great.
Hey, we'd still have Daniel Ricciardo. But so yeah, let's go off. I think we did five there.
Yeah. Well,
Three.
I'll circle it back actually because we didn't really address properly. If Max does go,
Yeah,
who has his seat?
that's what I was going to say. Let's go on to that. So let's say hypothetically, all of these drivers are left with the end of the year. They are left without a contract. And obviously with Max it'll be a bit different. So let's say Max Verstappen decides to take a year out. I don't think that will happen. I think he will comfortably stay with Red Bull for next year. And then if he does want to look at elsewhere, he'll potentially look at that for 2027 rather than looking at it after a year out in 2026. I think he'll just want to stay in the sport. So let's say Max Verstappen, end of this season, we get to Sao Paulo in Interlagos and the bombshell drops. Max Verstappen is taking a sabbatical for 2026. Who steps into that Red Bull? Mr. Reef Parker.
I think. Oh, it's such a hard question. It all depends. I mean, they're gonna have to throw money at the situation because they're gonna have to break a contract more likely,
Yeah.
unless they get to George. But it all depends on how much notice Max gives. It's all like really, I'd say the most realistic option would probably be George Russell, considering he's out of contract at the end of this year and he's been in good form. Because I can't see McLaren letting theirs go.
No, that was
Lewis isn't going to leave.
the only
Leclerc probably won't
the
leave.
only name I could think of was potentially one of the McLaren drivers, but I think that would need McLaren to sort of have a Hamilton Rosberg this year, where they just
Yes,
hate each
yeah,
other.
yeah, yeah. For sure. And
Which,
I can't see that happening.
if it does, that will be absolute scenes.
Pure cinema.
But no, I
But
think
I can't see that happening just because you need two personalities to cause that to get to like Hamilton Rosberg levels, and I think Piastri's so like horizontal about everything. I can't see him ever really like they might not like each other by the end of the year, but I can't see them falling out.
you because Red Bull would need a number one driver because Red Bull don't cover like as much as Yuki is a good driver, he's not number one
No,
driver
not yet.
for a team that should be fighting for a world championship.
It'd have to be George Russell.
Or could they sway Charles Leclerc?
I mean,
'Cause
no, I don't think so.
I don't think they could because Charles is clearly Ferrari's golden boy. He is
Yeah, yeah.
he is who they want to see succeed and it's who they want to have, a future with. But if Red Bull say to Charles, look, we're going to have a title winning car or a car that you can fight for a title, it's going to be hard for him to turn down.
Will it though? I don't know.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I think the most, I'm not going to call it realistic, it's probably not realistic at all, but I think the most feasible one would be George.
I agree. But then, where would who would go to Mercedes quickly?
Because they would keep Kimmy. So Kimmy would 100% stay Mercedes.
Yeah, but then they'd need someone a little bit more senior. I couldn't see them dropping down to F2 or anything like that, would they get a reserve driver in?
Well, their
Who
reserve
is their
drivers,
main reserve driver?
Valtteri.
Oh, of course it is. Yeah.
So
Um,
that's not an awful
it's
person to
it's
put in.
really not. It's really
But
not
they're not.
actually thinking
But
about it.
then also, it's not great.
No, it all depends really on the potential of the car. So if they think they've got a car that could challenge in 2026 without Max Verstappen there, because that's a big thing. Obviously, you lose the best driver on the grid, so
Yeah,
everything's wide open.
everything is up for grabs, isn't it?
Then they'd have to go try break someone else's contract to try get someone competitive in. But if not, then they'd probably just go for Valtteri.
Hear me out. Alex Albon has a contract
Yeah,
till the end of 2026, and obviously with the likes of Carlos being there, it's gonna be it's probably a bit daunting for Alex. And Alex has shown how good he can be this season, so I think he would be someone that Mercedes would 100% have their eye on. And I think he turned down Red Bull last year, so he does not want to go back there. So I think for Alex to put himself back towards the front of the grid, Mercedes could be his only option.
yeah, no, I agree with that, and there's sense in that. But I'm gonna say, which is like sort of Alex's story in F1 that everyone always doubts him. I think I'd rather pick Carlos Sainz to go into Mercedes than Alex Albon.
Yeah, I just think Carlos would be more because I'm reading you. He was signed on a multi-year deal with options to extend, which could
Yeah,
see him there until 2028.
yeah, it's a long
So
time to be tied up.
yeah, whereas Albon, you're already buying him out from for 2026 rather than everything else. So look, I think they would play it smart, and I think they would just say, look, we'll have Valtteri for a year, let Kimi develop another year, and then potentially make Kimi a number one driver because they haven't even got that many drivers in F2. Have they got Fred Vesti? Trying to think,
Yeah,
they don't because
um,
they don't really have
they've
many
they've kind
others.
of fallen off with the sort of driver pathway, haven't they?
Yeah, they had George, and then didn't I Nikita Mazepin tested for them one year. I remember
I
that.
thought he was a Ferrari guy.
No, he was, but I think he did a private test in like 2018 for Mercedes.
Right, fair enough.
But no, because Mick Schumacher was the reserve driver last year, wasn't he?
Yeah, but
But
if
he's a
anything, the
wreck.
sport's kind of it's past him. Like he's
Yeah,
been out for too long. Like he'd basically be a rookie again.
I think if George was to jump ship, I think Valtteri would be their number one. But if they could get like an Albon in, I think they would. Right,
Yeah,
let's
yeah, I
sort
don't
let,
mind that.
let's sort out the Red Bull dilemma.
Yeah,
Yuki Tsunoda, Isaac Hadjar, Liam Lawson. I'm gonna go straight away and say RB next year will be Isaac Hadjar as lead driver and Arvid Limbard as number two.
I 100% agree.
I think Red Bull will keep Yuki.
Yeah,
I don't think because unless they're gonna promote Isaac, which I think would be way too early, I think they'll just keep Yuki in the car as a steady pair of hands. It'll give him more chance to develop as a team, and he could be a really good number two driver in the future.
I think so as well.
I think it's
I
more
agree.
of they're not losing as much as no, they're winning more than they would lose if they keep Yuki.
Yeah,
Which leaves
yeah.
Liam Lawson.
Do you think he can grab? Let's be honest. If he did have to leave, it would be a bottom tier
I
drive.
I
Do you think he's shown enough?
I think he needs to start learning Chinese, buddy.
Well, not even like a Cadillac.
Oh yeah,
Is
Cadillac
that
are
twen-
in that
is
there
that
next year.
26?
Right,
Yeah,
we're adding a new section. We'll predict Cadillacs.
I completely forgot about that just
And I
until now.
um
Lawson to Cadillac could work. I mean, I
yeah
know who they're looking at. They're looking at Colton
Sergio.
Herta and
Yeah,
Sergio Perez
I
and
saw
who's the bloke? Is it Alex Palou from
yeah
IndyCar?
the Spanish IndyCar driver. He was with McLaren years ago as like
Yeah,
the
well,
I think he
he's
did.
just dogged he's dogging like IndyCar. He's been really
I think
good.
more.
So
I think we will, and I think we should see more IndyCar drivers potentially coming over to F1.
I'd like it, but I can't see it being successful.
I can see Alex Palou being successful. Alex Palou is absolutely incredible in IndyCar, and I think he showed decent pace when. 'Cause if I'm right in saying he did the young driver test for McLaren at the end of last year, I think.
Yeah, is it him and Pato Ward are the McLaren link?
So yeah, Pato Ward is sort of, because I watch IndyCar now and again. So Pato Ward is very much like, I'm trying to think who you could compare him to. Pato Ward is like Norris but a bit slower, whereas people are like, no, but people are like, he could be this really big thing and like he's got loads of potential, but he's also very prone to like a crash.
There, okay.
Colton Herta is sort of the same. He's very quick, but he will 9 times out of 10 put it in the wall randomly, which is 90% of IndyCar. But yeah, I can't see Lawson going anywhere.
I don't know. Now I've thought of Cadillac. I could potentially see that because the people that you've just mentioned, I'm not sure. I'm not sold on the whole IndyCar pathway.
I can see
I just think,
Cadillac selling their soul for an American driver.
oh, I think that's definitely, or they at least want someone from that part of the world. So I think
Yeah,
Perez is probably in. I think
yeah,
one
uh,
of those seats will be
and
Perez
realistically, Perez makes sense.
because of the sponsors as well.
Yeah, 100%. And
He brings an absolute fortune. That's well documented.
and
A new
also
team would be stupid not to take that money.
he is a very good driver in worse cars.
Yeah, yeah. But I think we said it in one of the early episodes. He's really good at extracting the best out of a bad car.
And I think people will remember him for the wrong reasons, just for his Red Bull drive. People will be like, oh yeah, it was Perez, he was awful. Where in reality, when he was at Racing Point and when he was at Force India, he was one of the most like sought after drivers on the grid.
It's always a shame because I think with the Red Bull, he kind of stayed around long enough to become the villain.
Yeah.
Where really, like, he's established an amazing Formula One career. Like, yeah, so I really rate Perez still.
So let's say, so you're saying Lawson could, are you saying Lawson to Cadillac then?
Not
Do you
not
really
hundred
want to tie
percent.
that down?
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, yeah.
So,
Lawson and Perez to Cadillac.
so you think Lawson gets dropped by VCarb and goes to Cadillac? I think Lawson gets dropped by VCarb and goes into like sports cars or something.
Fair enough.
As harsh
I
as
could
it,
see that as well. I could see that as well. To be
even if
honest.
even if he does it for like a year or two and then maybe comes back, but he just doesn't seem to be clicking with VCarb this year. And I think with Lindblad obviously showing so much potential and they want him in that car, I think Lawson's just going to sort of fall away as a result of that. In terms of Cadillac, oh, I think Perez is guaranteed to be one of them.
Hmm.
I think that crosses off the American sort of what they want, and it sort of takes off that sort of background of who they want and sponsorship and all that sort of thing, and it gives them a steady hand because usually with new teams we'll see an experienced driver and a rookie or a lesser driver. So I think they've got that experienced driver. Now, who could they have as a second driver? I don't think they'd. I don't think they'd dabble into F2 unless
Potentially not.
unless they have like a loan from one of the other teams.
Yeah.
Unless like a Williams wants to bring Luke Brown in and he goes over or something like that.
Wait, I will say, what about Fornaroli if he wins F2 in his rookie season?
He,
Because he's
I,
in with a shout. I think he's fourth in the standings at the moment.
he really impressed me this weekend as well. I
Yeah,
think
yeah, he was really
if I'm
good.
right in saying he is Alpine,
Yeah, but they've got
which
too many drivers. Like,
well, did they keep Colapinto? Do you think Alpine next year will be Gasly and Colapinto?
you'd hope so, considering they
I
spent
I think the
however
amount they
much money to break his
yeah
Williams
I
contract.
think the amount they spent on him it will be Colapinto and Gasly for Alpine next year, but
Yeah.
mhm. Bring back Logan Sargent. Like I can
Latifi.
Gabby bought the leather. I could see them grabbing like a Sergio Perez and then picking up maybe, you know,
No,
like you
hear
said
me
that.
out. Hear me out.
Oh God, here we go.
Double Mexican. Esteban Gutierrez back in F1.
Pastor Maldonado. Um, I'm trying to think of drivers we would have lost in recent years who are still somewhat good. Any because Red Bull just get rid of drivers. But
Nick De Vries.
hear me out. Sergio Perez and Daniel Ricciardo.
Let the man rest. Leave him
Let the man
alone.
rest, but think of the money.
I reckon, I have no doubt if he got a call, he'd do it.
100%.
I
But
just don't want him to.
just let them.
I'm fed up of seeing him now. Like, just let the man rest.
Or
He's
if,
not as good as he was in 2014. Just leave him.
yeah, I could see. I think Sergio's 100% one of, if not the favourite for that drive. And then I think maybe someone like, whoever wins F2, whether they get loaned out from their academy to Cadillac, then maybe that. Or they could potentially even look at someone like Guan Yu Zhou as
Oh, that's a
as may,
thought.
as maybe like a stopgap. He's got big commercial thing, brings in huge money, and he's not a terrible driver.
So you don't think Alex Palou then?
As much as I'd like it to be, because I'd like to see how he fares in F1, I don't think they'd risk it that in their inaugural season.
Fair enough.
So I think we finished off with George Russell to Red Bull, Valtteri Bottas to Mercedes, Arvid Lindblad to VCarb, um, and then Cadillac are going to have Sergio
Well,
Perez,
yeah, we
and
both agree
either
with Perez.
Liam Lawson or whoever wins F2 or Guan Yu
I
Zhou, and Liam Lawson's going to start racing Formula KAs.
should we should we say just a quick one? When Audi come in next year, are they going to keep Hulkenberg and Bortoletto?
I think they'll keep Bortoletto, and depending on how good Hulkenberg is this year, they might keep Hulkenberg because he's contracted until
I'm
2026.
so confused with the Hulkenberg situation, but yeah, we've kind of dragged it on now. But yeah, bizarre.
Do you know what? Gabby Bortoletto to Cadillac. Swap
Do
deal.
you think?
Yeah.
Little swap.
No. So yeah, that was our what we call it, silly season.
The
Silly season.
the pre silly season.
Yeah. So we official. I think it's next. Did you say next week is officially quarter of the way through the season?
Yeah.
So yeah, we're nearly quarter of the way through the season. So we thought we'd just look at the contracts which are up at the end of this year and some of the news we've had with George and Max potentially breaking their contracts earlier, potentially be on the move. So we just thought, as there's no race this weekend, we'd just do a quick little special episode. Let me just check when we are back racing, because it is Miami. The 2nd of May, which is a week's time. Yeah. So next week we will be back with, we'll probably do another special episode at the start of the week, and then we'll do a Miami preview. Miami, yay, fun. No.
No, absolutely not.
Well,
Get it off.
Anyway, this has been the Push to Pass F1 podcast. If you were listening on Spotify, don't forget to rate us 5 stars and drop us a follow. If you're listening or watching on YouTube, don't forget to drop us a like and a subscribe. It massively helps. I have been Max.
I've been Reef.
And this has been the Push to Pass F1 podcast.